Right.
All right. So what you want to do when you meet with the teacher, take them to the CalSTRS website, make sure they click the My CalSTRS login. That's going to take them straight to the login. Okay. And hopefully they've already registered so that they have their user ID and password in there. If not, just simply take them down to the Register Now link and you can help them get registered. Now, once they're in there and they have the login and username, that'll take them directly to their homepage. And you want to take them to their progress report right there. And make sure this box will appear afterwards. Always make sure you have them click on the year, and that's going to bring up the PDF on there. And that'll bring up the progress report for them. Now, 3 things that you want to make sure you explain to them is there's 3 components to CalSTRS. Okay, first one being the traditional defined benefit, which is their monthly pension. Most of them don't go beyond that first step. Second portion is the cash balance supplement account, which is their summer school, after school activities, any type of intervention. And what they don't know is that this money can actually be rolled out. Most of them just see a dollar figure and don't have a clue what to do with this. So we can advise them as far as what they do with it later on when they retire. And of course, the third component is defined contributions, 403Bs, IRAs, and the like. All right, so now we got the progress report. Okay, so first step, obviously, what they want to know is how many years of service do I have credits for? You know, most of them are off a little bit. Maybe they did some substitute teaching, or maybe just have a misconception as far as how many years of service. So it's very important that they understand how much that is. The next box is the defined benefit program account activity, which is their contributions plus interest. Doesn't count any of the district money or the state on there. The thing they need to understand about this is don't take the cash out. You know, I've had some teachers do that in the past and say, oh, they just gave me $108,000. I said, well, where's your pension? Well, I'm not getting it now. Okay, this is where their pension is going to be funded for the first 2.5 years. Okay, in other words, the state's going to want them to use all this money. Oops, let's go back again. All this money first until it zeroes out before they start paying. And that's a big deal. You know, I've had a couple of clients that retired and didn't even make it through their first year of retirement. They passed away on there. So they never even got, and here's the kicker. They passed away early. All this money, gone. CalSTRS keeps it, okay? Because they annuitize it. Yes, CalSTRS will keep it.
You can't pass it to a relative?
Nope. They get. I'll give you an example. I think I remember. I know she was well above 100,000. I think she lasted 9 months in retirement. When she passed away, her loved ones got a total of $6,000 out of that. That was the death benefit.
But if you die before you start collecting your pension, that balance does go to your
account. That's the key thing. Once they go into retirement, and we'll cover this a little bit later, that's when you annuitize the pension, and they're basically locked in on there. They don't have access to that money or anything like that. All right, so let's keep going. It's very important, okay? When you read the progress report, find out if they have a death beneficiary name. You would be shocked. I would probably put the number at north of 90% of the time. They have nobody named, okay? Or worse, they have an ex-spouse named as a beneficiary on there. And you can help them actually set that up. It's right there on the website. But more importantly, encourage them to go ahead and you got to name a beneficiary, or else that money's not going to go anywhere. Bottom part is here's the infamous supplement account. Again, the way this works and the way I explain it, okay, they can cash it out. But if they cash it out, what's going to happen to them? Taxes. They're going to have to pay taxes. Or they get added to their pension for 3, 5, 10, or lifetime. And it'll increase their pension slightly. But what happens when you do that? You give CalSTRS all your money. They have full control over it. Okay. And if they die early, once again, what happens? CalSTRS keeps that money. Okay. So what we encourage them to do at retirement, they can't do anything while they're in service, but at retirement, roll this out into an IRA. Doesn't matter. Bank,
This would be their like after school activity. All the
after school. Yeah. It's right now the thing you got to get is this is the supplement account. Okay. And what's the advantage of rolling it out to IRA? Number one, it protects them against taxation. Number two, they stay in control of their money. So if they have an additional fund, I don't know, vacation, emergencies, or whatnot. If they haven't submitted it to CalSTRS, once they submit it, they're locked in.
You could still change it.
You can still change it with 12 days?
This one, yeah, 60 days after you retire.
60 days.
Yeah, you still have that.
Okay. All right, it's good to know. 60 days. So we got a 2-month window. But get it beforehand rather than later. You know? All right, let's again, as I mentioned, make sure they have the beneficiary name. Let's keep going. All right, so this is the retirement checklist. Okay, over here it talks about they need 5 years to get vested into CalSTRS. So if you got a teacher who's got 3 or 4 years, just let them know. So just hang in there, especially if they're thinking about retiring or leaving the district. They need 5 years to vest into CalSTRS. Then over here, if they're at 2% at 60, okay, and at least they have 30 years of service credits, conceptually, they could retire at age 50. But the reality, even with 30 years, not going to be much money, okay? It's not realistic. You know, I think the percentages are, what, less than 20% if they try to retire at 50 on there. Same thing with 55. One of the key things I would share with anybody, and I just did this yesterday with a teacher, is 5 years matter, okay? A lot of people, you will find every single teacher, when do you want to retire? 55. Okay, great, sounds good. Let me show you 55, but let me show you 60, and it never fails. On average, it's about $2,000 a month in income that they lose if they retire early on there. Now, that's okay if they want to retire at 55, but that means what? You got to start putting a lot of money into your supplement account. I got a couple teachers that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing a $2,000 a month IUL. They're maxing out their 403 because they're dead set. They want to retire at 55 years old. So it can be done, but it's on them. All right, rest is, okay, so this is important. Social Security. Now, I know most teachers don't get Social Security, but some of them worked. We've had some late bloomers that didn't start teaching until their 40s on there. So some of them can get Social Security, but the key thing you got to remember, you got to point this out to them in the progress report, is these two things: the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Anybody know what that is from Social Security? This is going to affect you guys too. If any of you are going to receive a pension, I got a pension coming to me from my past career, okay? But the windfall elimination provision, what it stands for is if you are entitled to get Social Security and you're getting a pension, they will reduce your Social Security based on how much your pension is. This actually happened to my mother 30 years ago when she retired. She was all happy and didn't tell anybody she was getting a pension until she filed her taxes. And after she filed her taxes, she got that letter. I'll never forget that letter from the IRS. We are reducing your $1,200 a month Social Security benefit down to $700 a month. And that was actually good. There's some other people that they're lucky if they get anything at all under that provision.
Well, unless they meet those criteria.
Yeah,
If
they
you
have
put
to have
in
30 years.
or you're
Yeah, but no teacher's going to do 30 years of Social Security.
But for the police officers, if you ever work with them, that's important because if they ever worked at a county sheriff's office and then moved to a city where they get CalPERS, at the county they don't put into Social Security, but usually when they work for the city they do. So you kind of
you kind of do both. Now the other thing is the government pension offset. Okay, that affects primarily the spouse or widower's benefits. Actually, I had a teacher that retired, and she was getting, while she was working, about $900 a month of Social Security from her passed away husband on there. And I warned her, I said, once you apply for your CalSTRS, they're going to take it away. And she called. Sure enough, she said, yeah, you were right. They're no longer going to give me that $900 a month. So, of course, we had to plan accordingly because she thought she was going to keep getting that $900 plus her CalSTRS plus everything else we set up. She lost $900 right off the bat just because of that provision. All right, very important. And California Public Employees Pension Reform Act. You know, that's a mouthful. Basically, it was a rules change under Governor Brown, where they actually modified the pension for anybody that was entering into the system January 1 of 2013. Basically, now it's created 2 tiers in the schools. It affected police officers. It affected every public employee. It adjusted. But you got to be very familiar with what these numbers are. But who can tell me right now what's the biggest difference between the blue and the green side? Anybody?
The date of hire.
Date of hire. Okay, that's important. Anybody that was hired prior to December 31st, 2012 is over here in the blue. Anybody after that, it's going to be in the green. But the biggest thing is the people in the green, they're going to have to wait 3 more years than the average person. Over here in the blue, they get a bonus, and they can retire as soon as 62. By 62, they've maxed out. Okay, but by the time they hit over here on the green side, they don't max out until 65 at that point. So a lot of these new people that have come on board, they're going to have to work a little bit longer than most people. All right, So let's go back to the homepage. What's the next thing? We've already shown them the retirement progress report. What do you think the next thing you want to do?
Calculate their pension.
Calculate their pension. And you can do that, have them do it once they're logged in. We do this a lot on Zoom calls because they're logged into that. They can just hit this icon right here for their calculators. Okay. They can also change their beneficiary right there off the homepage. But here's the great thing about the calculators. You don't have to log in to use it. You can log in you don't even have to log in. Just go to the website, click this icon, and you can actually do their calculations for them, right, without even having to be a teacher at all. Now, I'm going to walk you through as far as what that's going to look like, okay? So let's say they've hit it or you've hit it. This is going to be the first thing they see. You want to hit the retirement benefits calculator. So get yourself familiar with this. And you guys can go home and practice this just by going into CalSTRS.com, okay? But once they click on that, then this page pops up, okay? This is the actual calculator. I'm going to walk you through real quick. Now, this is the key thing. The first thing, you got to make sure what plan they're in, okay? If they were hired after 2013 or during 2013, you got to make sure you click no, okay? If you don't, your calculations are going to be off. Okay, and then you might have a teacher that says, I thought you said I could retire at 62. And I can't. Okay, so make sure that's either a yes or a no. Ask them that simple question, 2% at 60 or are you 2% at 62? The next thing is put down when they want to retire. Okay, in this example, we're saying they're retiring at the end of this month on there. They got to put their date of birth in there. Put on how many service credits. Now, again, you want to forecast it. So if they're 5 years away from retirement and they have 25 years, just add the 5. If they got 20 years and they're 5 years away, then it's going to be 25. Again, simple math. You just got to anticipate as far as how many years they're going to be before they retire. The rest is pretty simple. Just leave that 0. Sick days, we don't know how many sick days they're going to have, but they all know what their contract days. It's either 180, 185, or 186 on there, depending on what district you're working in. All right, so up here, okay, I always try to make it simple, okay? This teacher or this person was probably making about $90,000, but by the time they were going to retire, we forecasted up to 120. Now, 2 reasons why do you think I elevated their income before retirement? Anybody at all? What was that? Cost of living adjustments, raises, LAUSD teachers, they're getting another raise this year, so they're going to be making more money, okay? The other thing, to make it simple for me, okay, I always put $120,000 because what's that? That's $10,000 a month. And that's going to give me the percentage of what they're going to make. One of the things you got to take away and they need to understand is they can always get more money, but the percentage doesn't change, okay? Whenever they're going to retire, that percentage is fixed in stone. Okay, depending on how many years of service and their age at the time as well. So I put $120,000 in there. Now this is probably one of the most critical things. This portion right here is probably going to sell you more life insurance than anything else. This is the pension maximization. So if they're married, make sure that they check that box. Put the spouse's date of birth. In this case, we made them about 5 years younger. In this case, and then check this. They can also select a dependent, okay? That's other. They have a special needs child that they have to take care of. They can select that child as well. So it's very important that you do this. Now, once they hit calculate and they put that in, okay, then you're going to get this pop-up. Just make sure you click no, okay? To this day, I still don't know why they asked that question. Did the member earn 30 years of credit service prior to 1/1/2011? Anybody have the answer? I'll tell you this much. If somebody earned 30 years of service credits before 2011, they're no longer with the district. Yeah, I'd be shocked if they were, but just hit no. All right. Now, before we get into the actual results, 3 things you need to be aware of that they need to understand. There's 3 options for a modified benefit. Anybody know what a modified benefit is? Mm-hmm. Survivorship.
Yeah, when you retire.
Yeah, when you retire.
You get 75, 100, or 50.
Yeah, and those are the 3 options right here, 100%, 75, and 50%. So you want to lay the groundwork as far as what they're going to see. Now, once you get the results, okay, here's their $120,000 a year, which is $10,000 a month. And down here, it calculates it for you, okay? So percentage-wise, what's that percentage that they're going to get? 72%. Okay, that's not going to change. So if this number is $15,000 a month at the time, they're still only going to get 72% of that money on there. But it gets better. What if they did have a spouse? What if they did have somebody that they had to take care of? So here's their $7,200 that they have in there. Okay, over here, that's what it's going to cost them to cover a spouse at 50% of that. And keep in mind, they only get 50% of that. That's 75%, and this is 100%. Most people always want 100%. So what's the difference between these two numbers? It's over $1,000 a month, okay, that they're going to have to give up from their pension. Now, this is the terminology you have to get down. This is called a survivor's annuity plan, an SAP. This is throughout the pension world. Doesn't matter whether it's federal, state, anybody that's receiving a pension, this is a term that's called a survivor's annuity plan. And what is that? Sort of, okay, the term I'm looking for, it's a form of life insurance that CalSTRS provides, okay? But here's the caveat, okay? $1,000 a month right here, okay? That's what we're looking at. 10 years go by, and the spouse dies before they do, okay? That's $120,000 of the money that they've given up. They go back up to their full pension, but they don't get that $120,000 back. CalSTRS keeps it, okay? So that's why it says in the handbook, if you get a permanent life insurance, it can eliminate the need for the survivor's annuity plan and allow you for you to take your full pension. Every time I presented this to somebody, they said, that makes sense, okay? Because I can spend a lot less money today while I'm young, maybe a few $100 compared to over $1,000 in this scenario. Plus, what's the other benefits of having life insurance? Your spouse dies early, what happens? You can cash it out. You can use it for yourself to pay for medical costs. And you can even reassign the beneficiary. Give it to your kids, church, charity. Okay? You can't do that through the SAP. Okay? That's why it's, even in CalSTRS, they acknowledge that life insurance, permanent life insurance, not term, permanent life insurance is what you want to do. And what do we sell here as far as permanent life insurance? IUL. And to her point, that actually happened to me where I had a client that retired. He was 63 and his wife was 40. So, yeah, didn't make sense. He's got to leave her 100%. I said, there's no way around. He wanted the life insurance. I go, you can't afford enough life insurance to cover your wife. It's just not going to happen on there. All right. Briefly, I'm going to talk about this. CalSTRS Pension 2. Anybody know what that is? It's all it is an annuity provided by Voya. Okay? A fix. Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I thought it was fixed.
They have the option to pick what they want.
Fixed or otherwise. Okay? I always steer clients away from this because it's in the progress report. Okay? This actually came off of the progress report. So LAUSD, CalSTRS in particular, is pushing this like crazy. One of the things you're going to find, and we'll cover that on the next session for the annuity basics, is the school districts, LAUSD and the like, and all the surrounding ones are pushing 457 plans. Okay? They're pushing them like crazy. And it's nationwide for schools first, Voya with LAUSD. So they got the handshake agreement. And this is what sucks about the 457 plans. Nobody else can do it. It's very exclusive. It literally is the definition of a monopoly on there. So just be aware of that. Okay? And I'm going to cover a little bit more so you understand what the differences are.